I'm Alan Pugh, AMP Global Strategies, the COO. I've been with the company for about 15 to 18 years. I can't remember when I first started at this point. Our company is a public safety technology company at its core. So we build 911 infrastructure, and then when we took that, we started working with law enforcement, with schools, with education, in developing out their technology side of it. When we started working with these districts, we started to realize some commonalities in how can we improve safety as a whole, not just as the RF side that we had always worked with. One of the items that came about, obviously, is the ballistic laminates, the security laminates, ballistic glass. And being that our company started from that sector, my father was actually one of the ones who started the company. He was former law enforcement, so we had a good familiarity of the background that's required to do those types of things. We started kind of researching, well, who are the companies that are out there? What are the stuff that they offer? We're really big on credibility. So we usually vet the company, not just look at whatever's got the flashy flyers. So when we went down that road is when we kind of got suggested you should take a look at ClearArmor. Now our company, we don't just work in Pennsylvania, even though that's where we're home quoted out of. We have people who work for us in Montana, Oklahoma, New Hampshire. We work down through the Caribbean market. We work down into South America. So we have a very wide territory of areas that we've covered in the past. And we needed something that we could reliably bring to any customer that we have. And that's kind of how we came about finding, okay, well, we heard about ClearArmor through a mutual partner. And I'll tell you, the first thing that clicked for us was when we were invited out. So everybody says their stuff works. Finding out if somebody's stuff works is always the key component to us. So you can tell me all you want, but until I see it work, we vet it in-house. That's when we really make a decision, is this a company we want to partner with? So AMP as a whole focuses on every industry. So we've helped build 911 centers. We work with education, yes. We work with healthcare. We work with, obviously, law enforcement, fire, EMS, but government facilities, courthouses. So there is no one specific. We don't do a ton in the residential side. We work with businesses and we work with governments. Be it what type of government or business, doesn't make a difference to us. So we do manufacturing facilities from upstate New York all the way down through Georgia. There's no real concept on who it'll be. It may be different products in different markets just because that's how our company is built out. But I think everybody needs to have this basic understanding that very simple things, such as laminates, can really make a difference in safety. And there are laws out there that most people don't even know exist, like the duty of care laws, that you should be creating a little bit more of a hardened facility, even if you are the most basic. Like it doesn't mean just because I'm not a government entity that I'm never gonna have an issue. That's traditionally not where the issues arise. They don't typically go to the government agency. They're going to anything that is a soft target that has a potential to have a high population inside of it. That's the easy target. That's what they're going to focus on. So from my standpoint, finding ways to simply increase the safety for their consumers, their customers, is very important. AMP started into this industry in the 1990s. And now, like I said, we were very heavily focused on the RF sector. But because of the fact that usually our customers will come back to us looking for recommendations on other items, we wanted to find other ways that we can kind of help them provide solutions or hire the security. So being the fact that we work with weapons detection platforms, perimeter detection platforms, ballistic platforms, we kind of wanted to say, okay, let's encompass all of these types of different technologies and solutions and create a safer environment, be it education, be it healthcare, be it government, law enforcement. How can we kind of find these pieces to bring that all together? So we really are a system integrator at the core, where we have guys in our industry who are separated out, where they work in the technology side. We have other individuals who specifically work in the vehicle upfitting side. Then we have a whole other group who works on the infrastructure pieces of it. We're not the 100-person, 200-person corporate type of company. We're small. We are family knit. We were developed. My aunt actually is in charge of one of our technology departments. My brother-in-law is our CTO. My father's our CEO. So even though we all come from the same family, we all came from kind of different backgrounds of it. I grew up as a tower climber inside of our company. It was my first job was actually going up and installing the antennas and the actual hardware and building out tower sites. And then I moved into learning different aspects and wanting to find other ways that we can improve as a company as a whole. And that's where we kind of just started to grow. So my aunt, even though she works for us now in our tech side, she actually came from working for one of the larger phone providers as one of their senior managers inside that company. My brother-in-law was a teacher, so he moved into the technology component. So it's a unique company because we are family, but we grew past that to now where we run about 20, 25 employees regularly, and we service a pretty wide territory. So the question about when did we realize glass kind of became an equivalent incident was we've had guys inside who actually work for our company who were part of the Sandy Hook 911 side of things. So speaking with him on different solutions, but the real one for us, I think, was Uvalde. When Uvalde took place was when I think you saw a heightened incident or a heightened response on how can we increase the safety of these schools. And being the fact that we have so many synergies in other areas, it came to be more of a impactful question. It's too easy to get in. And then as you started following down that line, then you had the incident in Nashville where the shooter came out, fired the rounds, shot through the glass of the door, and then entered the building. So no matter what I do or how much technology I have on the outside, if they can simply shoot through glass and then walk in, we're not really stopping anyone. So looking at, well, how can we keep the person out? How can we buy time? That was the key behind all of this. I mean, being the fact that we have so many people who were former law enforcement or at the time had still been active that we worked with, how can we try to keep a intruder or somebody who wants to do harm outside of a facility? Well, I can try to use technology, but technology doesn't stop anyone. So we started saying, okay, let's look at the glass. Well, what can we realistically do? Do we replace glass on every building? What do we do? And that's when we kind of diving into the Clear Armor was, well, there's a laminate. Well, now we don't have to replace all the doors. So we understand the aspect of costs and working in rural districts, they don't have the funds to be able to replace all this heavy glass infrastructure. So honestly, my first concept was the laminate. The security laminate. Well, simply enough, if we start looking at putting these laminates on the entryways, even though you can shoot through that glass, you can't penetrate it. I can't walk through it. I can't get inside. I can't do harm. So even if I keep the person outside for an extra 3 minutes, we're buying time for law enforcement to respond. Or after a couple of rounds, when the person realizes they can't get in, they're going to give up on that area. They're going to move past that area. They're going to look to do something else. They may deter them completely. So the goal was to take that and say, well, let's harden the facility. Every 911 center we work in, most of them have ballistic at the beginning. So we do this in our government. We do this in our law enforcement. Why aren't we doing this on the most targeted group currently, which is schools? It's an easy target. So let's harden those facilities. The question, when we discovered Clear Armor, probably about 2 to 3 years ago. We had been searching for a partner in that space. And the one component of our company is we don't realistically believe in just what we see on a news flash. We want to meet the people. We've been burned once before. In our entire history, we haven't been burned by one company. And we have a very high respect to, we want to come out. We want to see it, we want to vet it, we want to test it. Because if we believe in it, then it's something that we believe we can actually show to our customers. If we don't believe in it or we don't know, then how do I reliably tell somebody who I'm working with that, yeah, this is going to work. This is going to be something that will solve the goal of what you're trying to accomplish. And it was recommended to me by a friend hey, you should meet Dave. I was like, okay, let's meet Dave. So we had a conference call, and what I really respected about Dave was the first thing he said, you got to come out to Chicago. You got to come out to the facility. So we set up a meeting. We sent some individuals out here, and Dave put them right through the whole demonstration process. He let fire rounds, showed them the actual aspects of the laminate, the degree of the glass that it was working on. So there's multiple layers of glass, but depending on the level and what you're trying to stop, we can show you what we can actually stop with just your standard glass. And that was a really big impact, because when you can reliably bring somebody out and actually show them, don't show me a pre-shot piece, don't show me what we say we can do under perfect conditions, create it to be something that is harder. The anomalies, the side shots, to try to getting fragments off the pieces. And Dave went through all that. He said, well, no, we're going to put it to the test, and we're going to really show you that this is how it works. It works as we're telling you it's going to work. So the question on what made us confused when we were looking around in the industry, there's a lot of people who claim a lot of things. And we look for feedback from maybe somebody who we know has worked with that component or in that sector before, and we try to get some opinions before we begin to framework ours out. And we found a lot of verbiage that, yes, they call themselves ballistic or they call themselves bulletproof, and then you find in the fine print that they're not. And that was a big red flag to us, because if you're going to misportray what your product is, then it's not really going to be a reliable product, or a product that we really want to serve or utilize for our customers, because we really do have to trust it. And that was a key finding behind looking for Clear Armor. They were transparent. Yeah, the transparency that Clear Armor brought to the table was evident. It was from the start. They never tried. Honestly, they don't partner with us until we come out to the facility and actually get to see the work being done. And that is so huge in this industry, because unfortunately, this sector, especially the school sector right now, is being inundated with technologies and solutions and providers, because everybody's realized it's unfortunately a soft target. So many people are getting stuff thrown at them just randomly, and they don't know who to trust. So being able to say, I'm going to bring you out here and I want you to see it work and see the actual abilities of what we're bringing to the table, not just telling me. You can tell me in a pretty slideshow all you want. If I actually see the round and I see the glass and I see the laminate and I see the shot, now it's something that, okay, yes, I'm going to believe it more. I'm going to trust it more than just saying, look, we did this on a videotape. Here's a picture of us shooting this. Well, that doesn't really show me anything. A lot of the testing would be creative testing. So creative testing is when you set something up that you know it's going to work before you do it. And that is something that we try to avoid. So when you remove that component, and I remove the piece that allows the manufacturer to have perfect conditions, because perfect conditions don't exist. That's not real world. So let's remove that component. Let's put the round at the perfect velocity distance. You select the perfect distance that you know that this round is going to hit its highest figure. Instead of being 1 foot away, 5 feet away, 30 feet away. Now I've extended past the highest velocity of the bullet. So you're changing those parameters, and Clear Armor never did that. It was, no, let's show it to you at the correct distance, or we'll put ourselves at a harder distance. So let's really put the equipment to the test. So when we get to come out and we get to actually take a baseball bat to a security laminate or fire a round at a laminate, and we get to actually see it and truly see it work and see the abilities behind it, it gives them a case of ease, because everybody we work with, I mean, we've pulled product out if it doesn't work. We'll eat the costs. That is one component that we don't believe in, and we will no longer use that manufacturer. So it's a very large component to us as a whole, and we have to believe in the tech. We have to know the tech is going to do what it's going to do, because this isn't an industry that you can fake stuff, or that you should fake stuff. It needs to be transparent. It needs to be clear. It needs to be that the customer is going to get what they expect to get out of the product that they're buying, because when the moment comes, if the moment comes, you only get one shot. You don't get to take 10 chances at this. It's not, well, it was different conditions that day. That's the day. So being the fact that I only get one opportunity, that's the day that I need this stuff to be what it is supposed to be. A few of the things that we like to talk about in the industry is don't wait. That, I think, is one of the biggest misconceptions. Is, yes, there's still the reality is 99% of people think it'll never happen here. It's not waiting and hoping it will never happen here. The fact that Clear Armor comes to the table with a product that has a lifetime warranty, it's installed product, it stays there, it's meant to do one job and one job only. Don't think that just because I live in a rural area, we have a tight-knit community, that this can't happen, because it's one switch. It's there's one moment that you can never go back and say, I wish I did this. Be ahead of it. Be ready for it. Look at different ways that you have vulnerabilities and create them to no longer be that vulnerability. Know that you're providing some form of safety to your district, to your community, to the kids in the schools, the patients in emergency response situations. Like, don't wait until it's already happened. Do I think people are being proactive? I think some. I don't think the majority. I still think that too many things are being convoluted and it takes away from true security. So I know that we have areas that they put out grants and funding for security, but oftentimes that's now getting lumped into cybersecurity, is being blended into that in the funding. So this is speaking specifically to the education department, but we've come to find now that they're using the security funding, and that cybersecurity is being taken out of that security rounds, that funds. And it's great. You need the cybersecurity component, but you can't take away from the hardened security component, because if you do that and the incident happens, you can't go back and there's no wish. There's no going back and getting a second try. So I do still think that a lot of sectors are not hardened. Fortunately, we get to go into a lot of places that I can tell you, I've walked through places simply wearing a t-shirt that I shouldn't be able to get into. So do I think that most places are hardened? They're not. They're very easy to get into if you want to get into them. So I think a lot of people look for a solution, and sometimes they jump the gun or they hear a big name, and that's the first product they think, oh, well, I've heard of this name, so this is the product I'm going to buy. But that's not what you heard of that name. So they're not really doing their diligence in finding what would truly be the best solution. They're just saying, well, I've heard of this name, so this is the direction we're going to look to go. To, yes, check a box to say that, yeah, we've got this. But you don't, because you looked at the first thing that came up, because you don't have the ability to go down and look at what are all the products that are available. Am I really going to research into what's in that market, or am I just saying, I need this, this says this is what it is, we're going to buy it? And that is another major issue I would find in the industry as a whole, is they look at the price and they look at the name and they don't really know any of the players in the game. They just think that, oh, well, this says it's ballistic or this says it's security laminate. Let's just go with this. But what degree? What's their qualification behind that? So I think it's misleading at times by a lot of vendors or manufacturers. And it's a mix of that misleading and also not knowledgeable or not researching enough from the other end. We had a couple customers that have come to us looking for security laminates. And when they get down into the nitty-gritty of what they're actually looking for, they'll tell me, well, we were looking at this. We were looking at this product. And I'll go through and they'll actually ask us to do, can you research the product? So we'll go, we will. I mean, if they're a customer of mine and they ask me to come in and say, hey, can you look at this for us? Sure, I have no issue doing that. We'll dig into the product and we'll see, okay, this is its failure points, this is its successes. Do I think it's going to meet the criteria that you're expecting it to meet? And then we'll usually end up telling them yes or no. Most of the time, what they bring me is whatever the lowest cost their big name was, and I have to break it to them that it's not going to do what you want it to do. And that's something that I hate doing to them, but it has to be done. I mean, and that is a big component. Like, the non-faking it factor is, if I don't have a solution for you, I won't sell it to you. Because in my mind, that is the biggest issue I find with a lot of other integrators or vendors or resellers, is they're just out there to make the dollar, where I don't want to put it in if it's going to be an issue. Because that comes back to us. We believe in our product. So if I'm going to believe in the product, I'm going to believe in the manufacturer. If you want something else, that's fine, but it's not likely going to come from us. You're going to have to find somebody else to do it. One of the biggest things that I've had since I've met Dave, I've had most of my interactions with Dave and Mario, your group, everybody's been transparent, which I was real big on. They'll call me, they'll text me. It's not everything just done through an email chain. And I'm not a big fan of corporate style philosophy. It's much easier to deal with a smaller scope or not so much smaller, but a more tight-knit group versus the corporate side. Well, I don't want to have to go through 50,000 branches to get what the question I need answered. I'll call up Dave and say, Dave, this is the question I've got. Can you do this or can you not? And it's a straight answer. And I respect that. So it will be a big piece for us moving forward is that component, because I don't want that to go away. That's something that's so big and valuable, and it gives you real insight to who the companies that you're working with are. They're not fake.